The word of today is Nebraska rules. Matt Rhule, named head coach at Nebraska.
You are Locked On Huskers, your daily podcast on the Nebraska Cornhuskers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Special edition breaking news, Locked On Huskers. Thanks for making Locked On Huskers your first watch, first listen each and every single day here on the Locked On Sports Network. I'm Derrick Pearson, Lincoln, America, 93.7 The Ticket, Lincoln, Nebraska. The breaking news, of course, that we got this morning was that, in fact, Nebraska had a new football head coach. His name is Matt Rhule. Most of you know the story behind Matt Rhule. But we'll get into that. We'll go through a little bit of his history, a little bit of the state of the union of the Nebraska football program, the things that led to the need for this decision and signing. I want to thank the folks from BetOnline for what they do for us each and every single day. The best odds, the best props, the best lines. It's where the game begins. The story in that in not the best kept secret, that after Nebraska defeats Iowa, breaks the 7-game winning and losing streak against the Hawkeyes, put quite the damper on Iowa being able to claim their share of the Big Ten West Conference Championship under the leadership of interim coach Mickey Joseph. And the interim part was important and has now been removed as the permanent position has been offered to and accepted by Matt Rhule. Now, Matt Rhule's history is known. We'll go through it, but I'll read the statement from Trev Alberts and the Nebraska program on Matt Rhule. It says, a proven program builder in college football, Matt Rhule has been hired as Nebraska's head football coach. Nebraska Vice Chancellor, Director of Athletics, Trev Alberts, will introduce Matt Rhule as the 31st permanent head coach in Nebraska history at Monday's press conference in Lincoln. The 47-year-old Rhule has built an impressive coaching resume over the past 21 years and with experience at both the collegiate and professional levels. Rhule has served as head coach for the past 10 years, including 7 seasons at the collegiate in the collegiate ranks, and the past 3 seasons with the NFL. Under the Carolina Panthers. Albert said that Rhule's success as the head coach at Temple and Baylor provides evidence of Rhule's ability to build a program and made him an ideal fit for Nebraska. It's a privilege to welcome Coach Matt Rhule, his wife Julie, and their family to Nebraska, Albert said. Coach Rhule has created a winning culture throughout his coaching career, and he will provide great leadership for the young men in our football program. Matt is detail-oriented. His teams are disciplined and play a physical brand of football. Matt also has the personality and relationship-building skills to build a great staff and excel in recruiting. He goes further. Rhule said that it is an honor to lead the Nebraska program and join the Lincoln community. He is excited to return to the college game and the opportunity to coach in the Big Ten Conference. The quote is, "It is a tremendous honor to be chosen to lead Nebraska football program," Rhule said. When you think of great tradition-rich programs in college football, Nebraska is right at the top of the list. The fan base is second to none, and I consider it a privilege to have the opportunity to coach in Memorial Stadium on Tom Osborne Field. My family and I are so grateful to become a part of the Husker family, and we can't wait to get started. Rhule turned around programs at both Temple and Baylor during his 7 seasons as a college head coach. In 4 seasons at Temple, Rhule guided the Owls to 28 victories, including 26 over the final 3 seasons from 2014 to 2016. After posting 2 wins in his first season, Temple posted a 6-6 record in 2014, setting the stage for the best back-to-back seasons in school history. Temple posted a 10-4 record in 2015, were ranked as high as number 22 in the AP poll, and reached the American Athletic Conference inaugural championship game. In 2016, Rhule led the Owls to a 10-3 record and an AAC championship. The conference title was the first in 49 seasons for the Temple program, and Temple reached bowl games in consecutive seasons for the first time in school history. His success at Temple led Rhule to be named Baylor's head coach beginning with the 2017 season. After one win in his first season, the Bears posted a 7-6 record and made a trip to the Texas Bowl in Rhule's second year. In his final season in Waco in 2019, Rhule guided Baylor to an 11-3 record with an appearance in the Big 12 championship game and a Sugar Bowl berth. Rhule was named 2019 Big 12 Coach of the Year and became the first Power 5 coach to take a team from 11 losses to 11 wins within 2 seasons. Rhule's collegiate success provided him the opportunity to take over the Carolina Panthers' head coaching job in 2020. Rhule guided the Panthers to 5 wins in each of his first 2 seasons and coached Carolina for 5 games in 2022. Prior to his head coaching position, Rhule had an impressive 15-year run as assistant coach with stops at Albright College, Buffalo, UCLA, Western Carolina, and Temple in college, and the New York Giants in the NFL. A native of New York City, Rhule played linebacker at Penn State from 1994 to 1997, where he earned an undergraduate degree. He also holds a master's degree from Buffalo. Rhule and his wife, Julie, have 3 children. He will be announced Monday at a press conference in Lincoln. Lots to dive into there. A big discussion point today amongst Husker fans was the Penn State pedigree, style of play. Several things were discussed about the style of play at Temple that Rhule led his team under, and then the style of play at Baylor under the Big Ten, and then, of course, what was done in Carolina at the NFL level. All of those things lead to adaptability. I mean, I was a linebacker and a defensive coordinator at some phases of his career, then an offensive coordinator at latter points in his career. Having that well-rounded talent base, being able to make decisions on the fly on both sides of the ball. Also, a guy that played special teams, so his awareness there will certainly be beneficial. But there are several questions that we have that we need to ask when we're talking about Matt Rhule and this program going forward. We will, of course, have more information. This is an 8-year deal. So we've got a lot of questions that we have to ask and that we can await to be answered. We'll get some answers Monday, and we'll bring that to you here on Locked On Huskers. So as soon as we get some information, we will share that along with you. But we'll go to break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the 8-year plan for Matt Rhule, what we expect to hear Monday, some of the things, the character traits that are in play when Matt Rhule is the head coach. There's some constant things, and those are things that I would fully expect to be brought to the table as he heads the Nebraska football program. With word to break, we'll come back. More. Don't go anywhere. We're going to dive into this Matt Rhule pool. We'll do that when we come back to Lockdown. Welcome back. It is the breaking news that Matt Rhule is the head football coach at the University of Nebraska. He is the 31st permanent head coach. Of course, Mickey Joseph just had the interim tag removed, and Matt Rhule is now the head coach. It's official. They will announce it in a press conference Monday, and we will have some content based on that. We thank the folks from BetOnline. There's several things to bet on, and BetOnline is the place to be. It's where the game begins. Each and every single, for every sport, for every event, BetOnline is your spot. Want to thank you folks for sharing the content. A lot of folks are comment down in the comment section. Please feel free. Give us your take on the Matt Rhule hiring. We figured out pretty quickly that there are very few signings when it comes to the coaching position that are universally and unanimously accepted. Folks had different expectations. Folks had different selections. There are those that wanted Mickey Joseph to be awarded the position based on his win breaking of the losing streak with Iowa, his relationship with the players. There are other coaches. Luke Fickell was a name that was brought to mind. NC State's head coach was brought to mind. There were several. Urban Meyer was brought to mind. Deion Sanders was brought to mind. But no matter who was chosen and who was offered this position, the fan base would have been split, and that is no different in this particular case. But I can tell you what I know about Matt Rhule, uh, there's some constants in how he presents. He uses the acronym OOU, one of us, and it is almost cultish in its ability to set a standard for how business is going to be done. It is a believer system. It is a grain connector. Matt Rhule is a leader of men. He will organize. He will be structured in how he goes about the business of leading this football program. He knows every side of the ball, so that's not going to be an issue. And when he takes the stage Monday in front of the Nebraska press, I would imagine he's gonna set the room on fire. He's a great speaker. He's a great mover of people. He can get people in the same space and on the same page. He likes to speak of a couple of things that will be consistent with him, and he's used them in his renovation projects at other universities. And I would imagine that he uses them here as well. He speaks of the brand, and the brand is, in his terms and in his thinking, it is the identity of the product that he's going to put on the field. And people want to talk about culture. But the brand is what is the end? What is the scarlet and red, scarlet and cream? What is Nebraska football? What it's going to be? And we won't know what the brand is going to be until he tells us on Monday. Whether it's going to be, he said that he wants us to be a physical team. He wants us to be a disciplined team. But those are what all coaches at the Power 5 level ask for. It is in his operation of it that he becomes a high-level coach. So there's the brand, how this thing can be identified, and then there's the plan of how it's going to be put in place, who's going to put it in place, and what the standards are. And those things work because they're constants. These are boundaries that are being set for the players and coaches and the fan base. Expectation of what is the minimum. Expanding on what the maximum is. What are the capabilities of the people involved? How much work has to be put in to achieve said missions? And the common thread in this was Coach Rhule's ability to unite players and get them on the same page. Now, question one in this space is simple. What will the relationship be between Matt Rhule and Mickey Joseph? Will Mickey Joseph be retained? At what price? At what cost? How much money? And I would imagine that a substantial amount of money should be in play if Mickey is going to be retained because his recruiting value and his familiarity in the space. Like if Mickey Joseph stays, it's going to cost them money. The risk of losing Mickey Joseph is 50-50 with the importance of signing him because being the lead recruiter, the chief recruiter, the guy who's rebuilt this thing and held it together, it will be important. And I think a big part of the fan base not only wants Mickey Joseph to be a part of the program, but expects Mickey Joseph to be a part of the program. There are those that will demand that Mickey Joseph is a part of the program. It's going to be an interesting day because I would imagine that as Trev Albert hands the keys over and the leadership over to Matt Rhule on Monday, that pretty quickly in the space that he's going to be in, Mickey Joseph's name will be brought up and his job title will be questioned. Most new coaches in the space, especially on the Power 5 level, want control of their coaching staff. And I would think that he's aware immediately that he's going to have a decision to make and he's going to have some recruiting to do, not only of the coaching staff, Mickey Joseph, Bill Busch, et cetera, but he's going to have to re-recruit this roster. And the news today that Trey Palmer was going to throw his hat into the NFL ring, I don't think it's shocking. But it puts a mark and it puts a pin in a conversation point that the roster is going to be fluid. And we're not real sure what Matt Rhule's plans are. Again, he will announce some of this on Monday and tell folks whether his plan and intention is to bring Mickey Joseph back, whether his plan or intention to bring other assistant coaches back, maybe the defensive coordinator Bill Busch in some capacity, even if not under defensive coordinator leadership. And then if he's not going to bring back the entire staff, what members need to be replaced and by whom? I mean, Matt Rhule has brought in his coaching staff in previous stops. So I would imagine a big part of this thing is going to be, in fact, what his intentions are with the existing staff and roster, and then what he intends to do to fill those spots going forward. Because to hit the ground running, there has to be some understanding, and that's the plan part of how Matt Rhule works, is the brand, what it's going to be, and then finding out the plan on how he's going to execute it and what's required to do so. Is this going to be a running team? Are they going to use a fullback? Are they going to stay in the two-backer, that flex kind of 3-4? What coaches do they bring back? What members of the roster they bring back? We won't have those answers until Monday, and hopefully Monday we will have them. We're not sure. We won't know until Matt Rhule takes the microphone on Monday. And God bless him, because he's going to have his hands full on Monday. Real talk. It's going to be an interesting day there at Memorial Stadium. We'll throw it a break. When we come back, we'll close out with a little bit of the immediate future and some of the names that are in play, and then our expectations and hope for Matt Rhule as Nebraska's head coach. Welcome back. Final segment. We've been talking about Mickey Joseph. We've been talking about Matt Rhule here on the Locked On Huskers. And again, we thank you for joining us and making us a part of your daily Husker content here on the Locked On Sports Network. And we thank the folks from BetOnline for, again, providing the best odds, the best props. BetOnline, where the game begins. Subscribe. Numbers are good. Each episode the numbers go up, and I'm greatly appreciative. Share, ask your friends to subscribe so we can keep the content going. In closing this, I want to be clear in that Husker Nation will support and ride with whoever's in charge. I'm a member of the thinking club that says I don't make the news, I just report it. Matt Rhule, the moment he becomes a college coach again, becomes one of the top 100, maybe 75 coaches in the country as he currently stands. Every Husker fan will put down their specific wants and needs, their preferences and desires, and they'll put them aside, and then they will unite under this end. They will stand together under this end and hope that Matt Rhule, as he takes over the leadership, begins the healing process that's going to be required for this fan base to be united and for this roster to be reconstructed, because it'll have to be demolished and then reset. There'll be parts that are usable, parts to build around, and then there are parts that you're going to have to replace. We'll find those things out over the course of the next few weeks and few months. Matt Rhule now has the transfer portal, and which could either help or hinder him in building this roster and finding out what talent will be wearing these colors next year. But we'll find out Monday who his partners in crime are going to be, who he's going to work with, and who's going to lead the recruiting, not only of future players and future Huskers, but the current ones. Who's going to get their hands dirty up to the elbow in this roster just to see if they can re-recruit this roster base to stay in Lincoln for the ones that they want to keep and the ones that they're going to ask to move along. The transfer portal is hit and miss. There's some good things. If you think of Casey Thompson and Trey Palmer, Marcus Washington, those are folks, Anthony Grant, this is how this thing worked. It can help Matt Rhule get the roster that he wants. Are we sure that he can get the roster done in a year? That hasn't been the norm, which makes the statement that Nebraska is making an interesting statement. The question would be on Monday is, what's the expectation for year one? Is this a 6-win situation? Are you trying to go from 4 wins to 6? What are you trying to accomplish? What is priority one? And we'll find out Monday when Matt Rhule steps in front of the microphone to accept the reins at the University of Nebraska in one of the most important positions in the entire state. He will have his hands full. But at 47 and 43, we have some resume tape. We kind of know what we're getting into. The hope is that Matt Rhule comes in, guns a-blazing, keeps Mickey Joseph and a few other coaching members on staff, holds together a large portion of the available returning Husker players on the roster, and then goes out and fills those positions of need and those positions of want. And we'll find out more of what those needs and wants are based on what system he's going to run, what the brand is, and what the plan is. We'll find out those things and give Matt Rhule an opportunity to be one of us. We'll find out on Monday. Those 3 words we close with. Go Big Red.